Hi guys, welcome back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. My name's Savannah, and so we'll be doing another episode where we sit down with a fellow athlete and she's going to get to share some exciting tips. So welcome to the show. Love for you to introduce yourself and then tell me where you're at today.
Hi, I'm Christina Hathaway. I am a licensed family therapist with specialized training in food and body obsession, as well as a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. I have been a dancer since I was 3 years old, my entire life, and lived in a world that was consumed with how I looked and how I looked and how I performed was very much a part of my identity and worth. So, as any person who has their own trauma does, I became a therapist to try to help everyone else with those issues, even though I didn't really do the work on myself. And so a lot of my story I'll talk about today is a mix of my own journey as well as what I've done with my own healing and then education, working in almost every level of care of eating disorder treatment. As well as how that has adapted, or how that is adapted into the fitness, health, wellness community. And then also just some concepts, especially around like competing and the mental health side of that. I think could be really beneficial today. So we'll see where we go with it.
Okay, I like it. So where did competing start for you?
So my story is a little bit different. I am So for me, it was more around the dance world. I was a dancer at 3, and I was really good at what I did. So I was in a company, is what they call it, early on. And sorry, Savannah, I've never competed before. So I don't know if you want to start this over. I don't know what she shared with you.
No, that's fine. Like, where did you get introduced to the sport? Like, how did you find out about this? Like, how did you specialize in that?
In competition.
Like, with eating disorders for competitors?
Okay. Gotcha. I was like, I don't know what. So let me give you a bit of my background, and I think that'll help. So growing up in the dance world, obviously there was a lot of focus on body image, and there was a lot of people in dance that had struggles with disordered eating and obviously eating disorders, myself included, where I remember being very young and having this obsession with being lean. I remember something so silly as I would drink pickle juice because someone told me that that would cause me to lose fat in my body, right? Right, exactly. I had my parents buy me every single type of exercise equipment possible. And I was dancing 5, 6 days a week. And so the interesting thing about it is in in most people that have body image struggles, disordered eating struggles, it doesn't necessarily start with something like a sport. Yes, could that be true? Absolutely. But I also had a really tough upbringing. I had a lot of loss early on, a lot of loss that I had to process on my own. I had a lot of, my mom actually went through a lot of depression as well. But when I was competing, dancing, she was happy, right? She was excited. I was being seen. I was being heard. So I learned very quickly, like, okay, well, when I'm being a kid, having emotions, going through this grieving process of all these people who have passed away, I'm almost bad, right? I'm not given that same excitement and praise as when I'm on stage. And so fast forward, that went into a lot of issues in relationships. I tended to be very people pleasing, but also very just very hard on myself, very high achieving, that kind of type A, like grind, perfectionistic mentality. And overall, I wasn't realizing what I was doing to myself. So, as I mentioned, I was like, well, I have experience in helping people, quote unquote, because I was always the girl that people went to like ask for advice. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go get my bachelor's in psychology, then went on and got a master's in marriage and family therapy. My professor in my cohort was actually running an intensive outpatient eating disorder program. So I said, hey, I have experience with this. Like, this is kind of up my alley because of, the years, decades really at this point of dance. So after I graduated, I did some certifications in trauma, codependency, and how both of those affect, your body image, body dysmorphia, orthorexia, and ended up working in some of the top eating disorder treatment centers in Phoenix is where I'm from. So started pretty general, right? Started with anorexic, bulimia, binge eating, and did that for a good time. But as I mentioned, like I had my own shit. Can I cuss here?
Yeah, it's fine. It's
Sweet.
explicit.
Yeah. I had my own shit. And interestingly, as I was doing the work, my behaviors, my rigidity around my body and body image and exercise became worse, not because I was being influenced by my clients, but all of their stories and all the underlying stuff was influencing me. And so I ended up going through a pretty bad breakup. I was drinking all the time, not eating all day so that I can go out and, get those calories from alcohol and then go to the gym the next morning and burn them off. Like it was a very rigid, toxic cycle. So I ended up doing my own work. So I'm already a therapist and I'm going to therapy. And what I learned from that was a lot, which we can dive into. But how I got into helping competitors was I realized that the traditional therapy field wasn't necessarily aligned with who I was because I've been in the fitness industry since 2010. I started as a group fit instructor, gone into personal training and nutrition coaching. So there is an aspect of me that loves, weightlifting, loves to feed myself well, is really into how the mind and the body work together. And in traditional therapy, it is kind of black and white. It's like you're either in your eating disorder or you're not. And so I left and I said, how can I create a place for people who have competed, who now are seeing some of their struggles, or competition has become a place that was like a step up from maybe even an eating disorder. But also, we work with people who have binge eating issues, people who, your average woman who is that perfectionist, who doesn't understand why that hustle and grind they put into their bodies is causing them to break down, why they continue to burn out, or just simply why are they not seeing results. So I created the mindset of matter as this kind of intersection where we have psychology and understanding the underlying behaviors and the mental health struggles to whatever it is someone is coming to us for. And then the biology, being able to then say, okay, say you are coming from a competitor's world, how can we begin to have a different relationship with your body, with food, with your self-worth, especially after the stage, right? Or for some, they'll be mid prep and just they'll literally have I won't say a mental breakdown. That's kind of dramatic, but this mental awareness that I can't keep doing this and I need to do work on myself. So my business isn't solely competitors. It's really anyone with that disordered sense of self that may not necessarily meet the criteria for an eating disorder, but they need help. They still feel terrible. And so that's what we created and how I came into working with competitors specifically. A very long-winded way to say that.
Okay, I mean, that's great because I mean, most of the girls that are listening to this are going to be competitors. So, like,
Mhm.
I think what we can really do here is just like when you have athletes, is it like, do they come to you before going into contest prep, or is like, are you kind of either in the middle, or is this kind of the aftermath of a contest prep? Like, when do you see athletes come for help?
The majority of athletes will come in afterwards. This after this stage, or I've now have some physiological issues where my hormones are off. We have a lot of that where they end up in in a doctor's office because of hormonal issues, and a lot of their behaviors are only exacerbating those issues. So really trying to understand what's behind the behaviors, because I'm truly a believer is that if you don't know, you don't understand your behavior, you can't change it. And so for our clients, the majority of them come after, when they've kind of taken a step back and they're still feeling this lack of self-worth. They're still feeling like a failure. They're having a hard time adapting to their sustainable bodies, right? Or even that competition structure mentality is still there and it is still very rigid, and they want to learn how to get out of it and create a more, again, sustainable way to eat, lift, and live their lives.
So do you think, okay, so for someone that's never gone into a show, like what are some things that we can do that are going to prevent like some of these things to come up and traumas and past issues and emotions? Because
Mhm.
like in prep, what I found just from doing it myself so many freaking times, it's like you don't have vices, like you don't have the escape because like you're
Right.
forced to be into the gym. So as before, some people can use the gym as an outlet. Now it's like a part of your daily routine. It has to get done. You can't have drugs. You can't have alcohol. You can't eat off plan. You
Mhm.
have nothing except for just processing the emotions, and they come up pretty fast because if hungry, tired, all those
Right.
things like really just make everything heightened. So like what are some
Mhm.
preventative things that you could have athletes before they need like help after this show? Like what could we have them do before?
I absolutely love this question. And I want people to think of this as the prep before the prep. Like, it's really important. And I believe this for any life transition or anything that creates change in your life. Like, however you're walking into it is only going to exacerbate while doing it, right? So I think the first question people can ask themselves is like, am I trying to prove something in doing this? Right? Am I trying to fix my body image? Am I trying to find a sense of validation? Questioning if your worth is kind of riding on how you place, what you look like, whatever that is. I think the first thing to do is really ask yourself what is the motivation and the incentive in doing this. And if it is something that is worth driven, if it is I'm trying to fix the version of me who I am now by doing this, then I would say to, yes, we're going to invest in a coach, but I would also invest in someone who can help you in that mindset prior to. Because as I said, the way you walk into it is only going to heighten while we're in it. So being able to have that conversation with yourself of where's my starting point? What is my relationship with food? What is my relationship with my body? How does the outcome, how will, in my mind, the way it is today, how will the outcome, whether good or bad, affect my sense of self worth? Right? You're just mentally prepping for the process, right? So then you can work with someone, but also for some tips and tricks is really checking and seeing like how the way you eat in your day to day before even going into the process, right? The way I eat, do I have this feeling of good versus bad, right? And not even good versus bad. Obviously, there's nourishing foods and there's pleasurable foods. And when you're going to go compete, we're reducing a lot of those pleasurable foods, obviously. And also, it's kind of like if I eat this way, do I feel grandiose? Do I feel better than? Do I wear it as a badge of honor? Does it become a part of my identity? Because that is where it becomes what we call codependent, right? So, recognizing that in your day to day, just eating before we even go into, the competition prep and all that. Then recognizing how we're seeing ourselves now. How is our relationship with our body? Are we having those really shitty conversations, picking ourselves apart, pinching ourselves, body checking throughout the day? You tell me, is that going to get worse as the time goes on and you're literally posing and being judged for the way you look? Like, have you had experience with that?
Oh yeah, I mean for sure. Like that's like just natural. Like you're having to send your coach check-ins to see like is my waist measurement down? Is my hip measurement down? Do I look better? Do I look leaner in photos? Like am I more flexible? How did my weight drop this week? Like there's all these little things and it just causes stress too because it's not like you're just trying to have fun with it. Like there is an actual deadline to get lean. So sometimes, like, even though you might be perfect on plan, like if your scale weight doesn't match it, then it could like send athletes to spiral because it's like, what the heck? I'm dieting, I'm starving, I'm hungry. I said no. What's the point if I don't even drop weight? I might as well have a little something here or there because I'm struggling so hard and I'm still getting punished with extra cardio
Mm-hmm.
or less food. It's like I think I struggled with some of these things at the beginning when I was younger because I just didn't understand the process. I was like, oh my
Right.
gosh, I work really hard. then I'm going to get punished. So I have to make sure that I'm doing these extreme things. The night before I check in, I'm going to make sure I drink extra water and get extra steps and all this stuff. Or I'm going to erase this little bite of food that I had off plan that might have been 100 calories, but I'm going to do an extra 10 minutes of cardio so I can
Mm-hmm.
really impress my coach. But I didn't really realize the hormonal impact that was going on and like mentally what was happening. It's just like when you get into these cycles, you're just training your brain. Like for food wise, you're thinking that like the science doesn't match up. You're just in your head, you're just like creating these weird rules around food. Like I cannot have anything pleasurable and in prep. If I do, I will lose or I will not lose weight. Or if you do have something, it can just be cut off right there, but it kind of turns to this thing, well, I've already had one bite of food off plan or something. I might as well just throw in the towel and just go
Mm-hmm.
right into it. So I think that was something I had to learn throughout the process and just realize like I feel better consistently when I eat healthy. It's not really
Right.
about having the pleasurable food. Yes, it does make me excited, but I have to get over like sensationalizing the food. Like it's all, it
Mm-hmm.
really is always there. And everyone told me that in the very beginning, but like I didn't understand it. So after every show, I would just binge and binge and binge. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I have this window in time where I'm so tiny. So I think I can have this food because I'm so tiny, I'm not going to gain that much. And that was not the time or place to do it just because hormonally I was so sensitive after this, 6 months diet, hadn't had a lick
Mm-hmm.
of any type of sweet or sugar. And then here's sugar and sushi and cookies and these
Mm-hmm.
drinks and stuff that you haven't had. You just blow up and then you feel
Right.
like really bad physically. You're bloated. You can't digest food. Then you
Mm-hmm.
can't get that weight off. It sticks. Like it sticks real,
Mm-hmm.
real bad, really fast. And then it's
Yep.
just like this crazy thing. Well, I spent 6 months getting shredded. Now I'm shredded. And in one day I messed it all up. And then you feel like you failed
Mm-hmm.
because let's say you didn't place how you wanted and then you
Right.
binge and it's like now I'm in an extra low spot because I have to climb out of this hole. I was doing good. I was so excited. I got accolades. People were giving me the comments and the likes and I got the whatevers when I was lean, but now I'm a little thick. It looks like I've never worked out before. So I have to hide and I have to
Mm-hmm.
not show my body and not body check and not be confident and not do photo shoots and not go out and not do all this
Right.
stuff. And like that's how I used to be at the very beginning. But I think I
Mm-hmm.
just learned with time, it's like this isn't sustainable. One, you have to get out of your own head. And then two, you just need to process like what's going on. Like it was just a habit. I
Mm-hmm.
think it just came down to these little micro habits and the
Yep.
mindset around food. Simple things like food specifically, like not just eating out of Tupperware all the time. Like make the
Mm-hmm.
meal nice, like make it look aesthetic. Don't just
Mm-hmm.
throw crap on a plate and expect it to be okay. Like healthy food can look good, it can taste good, you can season it right, you can
Mm-hmm.
have a nice
Yep.
sit down meal, you can go out to eat, you can learn to go out to eat. Like there's no wrong way to diet. And I think the all or
Yeah.
nothing mindset, it's really hard when you first start because you
Mm-hmm.
think that you have to be chalking your boxes. Like I'm going to be like everyone at the beginning of a diet, they're going to the gym 7 days a week. They're just like full on the gas. Like week two, we're still at it. Week three, it's like, okay, I'm a little tired. And then it's like, all right, week four, week five, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Cause you're like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, I pushed way hard in the beginning. Like I'm out of gas. Like this is really hard. I
Right.
know to all my friends, I feel lonely. I feel emotional. Now what? Like I'm not even close to the end and we still have a
Mm-hmm.
long way to go. So, I mean, like
Yep.
these are things that it just takes time. You either have to learn it by yourself, but if you could prevent it from happening in the beginning, and like, I wish I would have had someone sit down with me and just been like, hey, let's talk about body image. Let's talk about self-worth. Like, placing is
Mm-hmm.
in this place over here. And
Yep.
then your self-worth is completely separate. You are doing a hobby. It's not life or death. If you gain a few pounds, you're still
Mm-hmm.
going to be yourself. And it's weird because it's like when you see yourself at the beginning of a contest prep, I will be happy when I'll be happy when I
Yep.
first place. I'll be happy when I get a pro card. I'll be happy when I'm this weight.
That's self-talk. Yeah.
I'll be happy when there. So it's just like, okay, I cannot be happy until that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But then like you realize, okay, at least I did. I'm gonna be it's 365. Like I have to do this all the time. It's like I can't just be happy for 10 minutes because sometimes, a lot of the times, I didn't win. So I won my first
Mm-hmm.
show, didn't win every show after. And so it was like, do I suck? Do I fail? Like, why am I pushing so hard if I am still miserable at the end? It was the
Mm-hmm.
point where it was like, I won my first show, I was all happy. Let's recreate that. Second show did not happen. Second show did not place. So I went from like up here to down there. And I'm like, okay,
Yep.
well, maybe I just need to build harder and push harder and diet
Mm-hmm.
harder and do more and do more and more and more. And it's not really like that. It's just like you you look way better than you did when you first started. You develop all these good habits, and
Mm-hmm.
then you might be the same weight or even less than when you originally started, more muscle, better composition. But it's just because you saw yourself at this little teeny tiny weight, it's really
Exactly.
hard to get past it. And you want to keep it because you worked really hard to get so lean and so shredded. And then when it
Mm-hmm.
just slowly fades away within a matter of days, it's a really mind fuck where you're like, oh
Right.
my
Yeah.
gosh, like I'm getting fat, I'm letting myself go. So I'm sure,
Right. There's so much there. I'm glad I asked. There's so much there that is so common, right?
yeah.
And like you said, if we could have someone that says, "Hey, these are like when we can create expectations for people and then also give them tools, right?" So like you said about eating and like making the food aesthetic. I like to teach people like what is going to satisfy me even in this phase of my diet or obviously prep. I can still find foods in within my calorie range that will actually satisfy me, or at least it doesn't have to be the pleasurable food that I want, but I don't have to eat chicken, rice, broccoli. First, like you said, making the food that is healthy pleasurable. And that's really important. Having that bit of flexibility to say, okay, rather than just being so rigid, I'm going to incorporate different aspects of food into this diet and ask myself, like today, do I want the sweet potato or do I want, the steam rice, whatever it is? What would make me feel good after this? I think that is a wonderful way, a very easy way for people to stay within their protocols and have a sense of control, right? Where they're making their decisions, they have a sense of agency, and that creates a lot of confidence. The other thing you brought up, which is so true, is we don't have you're exposing yourself, right? You don't have the alcohol, you don't have the drugs, you don't have even sometimes the social life to kind of disconnect, right? So you also on top of that have hunger, right? You have fatigue, you have irritability. And in the world of addiction, there's this concept called HALT. I don't know if you've ever heard it: hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I added an S, which is sick or in pain. Okay. These are times where you're the most vulnerable in your life. And that is when in addiction, we're more likely to get the thing, right? Whatever it is. So if you think about the process: hungry, check; angry or irritable, check; lonely, maybe, right? And I'm thinking, I'm talking to that person who doesn't have what you've built, right? Tired, right? You might be in pain or just, fatigued because you're working out all the time. So even recognizing that these are things that are going to happen for me, how can I create a plan around them? When we can just look ahead and say, this is expected, it's not bad, it's not wrong, it is a part of the process. And I can mentally prepare myself. If I'm hungry, obviously, I can look at again the way I'm preparing my meals. Do I need to break them up more? Whatever it is that is specific to you that can help you, you're going to have a sense of hunger, obviously, but minimize it as much as you can. Am I more irritable? I need to have some tools in place to manage my emotions, right? Maybe that is calling a friend. Maybe that is, some breath work, meditation, walking outside, playing with your dog, always a positive for me. If you're lonely, having a community before starting is incredibly important, right? Having people in your life is incredibly important. So understanding the process, understanding that it is, what to expect, and then creating the skills and plan for if that happens to you. It may not happen to everyone, but it's always better to be over prepared than under prepared and go into that spiral because you're exposed, you're physiologically not doing 100%, and that can lead you to like really poor thinking and so on. So that would be a really easy thing too for listeners to walk away with is plan for those that halt, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, sick, or in pain. Create a plan of attack for that.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a plan for when you're going to be hungry, like what are you going to do? Like if you just, it's not an option to reach for food. Like when I'm hungry, I eat. That's like not a thing. So I did have to have a plan, like where I would sit down. I used to just open the cabinet. And I'm like, well, why do I do this? Like, just don't open the cabinet. Because if I open the cabinet, I'm going to eat something. Why am I
Mm-hmm.
buying stuff at the store in bulk when I know I can't control, have a great value, huge family pack? I'm like, all right, well, if I
Right.
do that, then I need to individually package stuff. So I know I'm going to have one serving instead of a whole entire bag. Why am I only binging when I'm by myself? Why is that a thing?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
maybe I need to, I don't know, just get out of the kitchen. Just like get out of the kitchen, go for a walk. Like, is there other things that I could use that time for? So when I'm hungry, like puzzling, drawing, journaling, reading, going for a walk outside, playing with your dogs, taking a bath, shutting the
Mm-hmm.
cabinet, like not buying the stuff. Like there's just so many other ways. It's like, okay, well, if I truly need something, is there a way that I could swap it in my macros?
Mm-hmm.
That was game changing for me. Like
Yeah.
education, I learned macros. So I'm like, wait, if I want to deviate from this chicken rice broccoli plan, I'm not going to gain weight. If I have a sweet
Yeah.
potato versus rice, crazy. Like this is insane. So it wasn't even that I wanted the chocolates and the cookies. I'm like, I just want some like variety. Like it's been
Variety.
have some not broccoli. Let's have green beans. And so I started learning stuff about it. I'm like, okay, calories in, calories out. So now I prep a
Yep.
lot different. Like I prep to the point where I will rather myself personally, I just made a plan. I diet harder during the week during contest prep. I have one refeed cheat meal, always as an option, but usually just the fact that it's on the plan, I won't utilize it. So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that me and my coach, like it's okay to have the cookie, the treat, the cakes, the whatever once a week. I just cut my calories a little bit and then
Love.
put it at the end of the week. It keeps me on track mentally because I know if I want it, I can pull it out for this day. Plus, it's strategic to have a refeed for your lower body day. So, like, that's
Mm-hmm.
that was game changing just having on the plan because before I was on a very restrictive meal plan. I didn't have any refeeds in sight for like 2 years. So when I would
Wow.
just like binge, I would just eat stuff. It was just like I never had permission. So I would just
Mm-hmm.
do it anyway. And then I would just like, yeah, I ate off plan because it was
Yep.
this meal plan that I tried to live like I have to have this meal plan. If it's not on this meal plan, it's not I like not going to see
Yeah.
progress. But everyone's
Mm-hmm.
way to get lean is different. Everyone's rules around food is going to be different for like what works for you versus what works for me.
Of course.
And it is too like I was so lean, like your body at a certain point, I think I was just like it was so tired and lean, like I shouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
been doing that long. So now I know like I'll do 1 or 2 shows a year if I diet. It's going to be 16 weeks or less at a time. Like I don't need to prep for a whole entire year and try to prolong it. Like it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot there. So physiologically, when we do studies on people that restrict, right, there's a response and an adaptation that the body does that is very normal to help it survive. And one of those, so there's the World War II study and the Minnesota study, where I'll use the World War II study because it's top of mind, where we restricted the calories of the soldiers while they were still working, right? I don't remember if they were combat or not, but they were active and studying their mental health, their obviously their physiological needs, and what we learned is that the body will adapt and it will start to obsess over food, right? It'll start to want to hoard food and binge on food. Interestingly, too, so after the fact, right after the stage, it being in too long of a calorie restriction, the body it takes a longer time to adapt to ghrelin and leptin. So you can be eating and not feel full. That is by design because the body's like, you just quote unquote starved me. So I'm going to just get in as much as I can. Right. And so that's also something that we physiologically and naturally do. And understanding that, like, this is the two things that obviously creating your own approach and creating how you prep, creating the timeline, like that's huge. But also knowing, like, okay, this is my body, right? This is what it's supposed to be doing. Uh, Again, not judging it, not putting it down, not putting yourself down. Like, oh, you need to be more disciplined. Like, why are you wanting food right? Like it's supposed to be that way. Like having a bit more compassion that your body's like, hey, signals. We need to, maybe we need to change things up here a little bit. The other thing is the thing I like to do, like if I am in a weight loss phase is, and really whenever I eat something that I really love, is just trying to make that meal last as long as possible. Right. When you're hungry, how easy is it to just, right? Put it down. I like to tell people their taste buds are in their mouth. Slow it down. Eat it slowly. Like enjoy it. Enjoy every morsel. Now, yes, it's not maybe your favorite food, but if you can just slow down the process physiologically, you're going to be a bit more satisfied. You're going to stay fuller longer, right? Because we're not just shoving it in our mouth and moving on. So that's another thing to do too around food. And then I was just taking notes as you were talking. There's so many like nuggets in here. The idea, maybe we can move on to this, of like being lean for those 2 days, like how to prep for that. You'd ask me like, what if someone has not done any of this work? What are some tidbits for them to walk away with? Is having that after show like plan of attack, right? Normalizing the rebound. I like to think of stage, your the package you present on stage is like a Halloween costume. Maybe you've put this costume together, like you're creating it, you're a DIY girly or guy, and you're creating it yourself, and you're doing every single little like stitch and bead, and you go to maybe 2 parties that weekend and you wear that costume and you're like, fuck yeah, look at my costume, it's so great. And you put the costume away, right? And you're not, maybe you're like, oh, that was such a good costume, like, oh, look at all the work I put into this costume. But you're not like, oh, when you're wearing your regular clothes, you're not like, oh, I wish I was wearing my costume, right? Like thinking of it that way is such a, and maybe not the costume, but the equivalent can really help from that post show struggle around being in that sustainable or body versus stage body.
Oh my God, I never heard of that, but it's so funny that you say that because it is. It's like you're doing drag for the night because it's like you got your hair, your makeup, your suits, like you look like a drag queen. It's not
Mm-hmm.
every day you walk out and you're like, who is this person that's orange, shredded, and lean? And within like even hours, like you will peak for stage for a matter of 10 minutes. And the second you step off stage, the second you introduce carbs and fats and water and healthy foods, you're just gonna like perk back up, pop back up. Like it's
Right.
literally just like taking the mask off. You're like, okay, I'm better than when I began. I've worked really hard. I can still sustain some of this costume. I can't wear full drag every day, but like I
Right.
have the habits and the hard work, and I have some of those muscles underneath, but we just have a small layer of body fat now that is over it. And so I can't wait till I get to wear my costume the next time. I want to work so hard up until that. I think that's a really good way to look at it because it's so hard not to get attached to it because it is you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's you can see your hard work physically. And I think that's where it's really hard to see it slip away. Because you're like,
Right.
oh, I worked so hard. I deserve this body. I deserve to have
Mm-hmm.
to keep it. But it's like, no, it's not like how it works. Like it never works like that at all. It's like that for 10 minutes. You're doing it for extreme. Like sometimes you could, I'd say 3 to 5 pounds within, maybe. Some girls are
Mm-hmm.
lucky. The majority of us are going to be 10 to 15 pounds above that package and
Mm-hmm.
still going to look amazing, still going to look awesome, but it's just not stage lean. And that's
Yeah.
really hard. I think that was really, really hard to understand because it's like you love it. Like you're like, oh, look how tiny I am. And I look good in all these clothes. And like I'm
Mhm.
shredded and I have veins and I have a new line. And one thing that I've noticed, it's like, okay, so it's two places in weight. So I could be starting at 150, and as I'm on the way down, I get to 145. I love how I look. I dropped 5 pounds. I'm 145. I love this. I'm on the way down. But now let's say I hit 140 as my stage weight. When I'm 5 pounds up and back to 145, when I felt great and awesome on the way down, now I hate it. Oh gosh,
Mm,
I'm so fat, blah, blah, blah. Even though it's the exact same body. Like it's the exact
yep.
same. Your mindset is, oh, I'm on the way up instead of I'm on the way down. And then I realized that I think
That's
a
so
couple of,
true.
yeah, like I realized that I was like, how can I feel so amazing about this physique that's literally the same physique here, but it's just on the different journey of it. So when I
Right.
realized that, because I used to, I would never photo shoot, do photos in off season. I was like, nope,
Hmm.
I'm only going to do shoots unless I'm really close to stage weight. I have to be in prep and stage weight, but I look the exact same. I'm just being crazy. Like you
Right.
are like when you're stage lean too, like you don't really look as great.
Hmm.
You get the prep goggles, or you can't actually
Hmm.
see, can't see yourself for like what you truly look like. So there's a point where you do feel like you look really good. And when I look back at pictures when I'm stage lean, I'm like, I was sick looking. Like I
Yep.
was so lean. I looked like a skeleton. I had no life in my cheeks. I had no life in my face. I had no but I had no
Hmm.
curves. I was not very feminine. I was very like chiseled and like just not good looking. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. When I look back at my off season, I'm like, I looked like I was alive. I looked like I had life in me. But you just have to, I guess you kind of have to do it and just like prepare for it and just know. And I think now I won't ab check even during prep or after
No,
because
that's
it doesn't matter.
so important.
Yeah.
Gosh, this is I'm loving this conversation because if you ab check even when you're going down, you're going to ab check even going up, and it's going again. Like what I wrote down is like, what is that mindset between those two? I won't call them extremes, but just those two differences, if you will. Right? What is my mindset going down? I'm good. I'm doing well. I'm on my way. I'm towards the goal. Right? What if instead of when we were going, up and regaining the weight, oh, I'm bad. I look fat. I'm disgusting. How can we create a mindset of, I'm good. I'm going towards the goal? Because you are, right? The goal is to not stay that lean because exactly what you said. The leanest I've been is around like 14, 15% body fat. And I looked gaunt. I'm 42 years old. Okay. I looked back then I was like 37. I looked 48. Like my face was
It
just
ages
my
you so much.
yes, girl. My esthetician's like, do you need some fillers? Like, what? What are you talking
Yeah.
about? So I totally understand that. But again, just that idea of again, knowing what to expect, everything we're talking about, and then how can I have that similar mindset of when I'm coming down that the goal is to regain weight. I am going into we'll call it off season, right? I get to chill out. How can I create goals around this because I am so goal oriented that says I'm on the right track, that
Yeah.
I'm doing well, that I am quote unquote good. I don't love that word, but you know what I'm saying just for context. That that could be a game changer for a lot of the listeners.
Yeah, I think so too. Just like having a post-show plan and just like mentally knowing, like you said, like for me, I don't care about being stage lean unless show days tomorrow. Like, so in
Mhm.
my head, I'm like, okay, I have to like, after every show, you learn the lessons, you did the things, what's next? It's like, how can I improve? So I really have to leave stage lean in the past and I'm trying to improve that. So if I stay too lean, I know I can't put on muscle as fast. So hormonally, it's the
Right.
number one focus for me, at least. It's like I cannot have this much, I can't be doing this much cardio. I just am trying to reverse. I'm trying to feel
Mhm.
good and my body again and get back to healthy hormonally. So I'm functioning. So I'm having regular cycles. That way I can handle more food. I want to get my food up as fast as I can. Like I just want to
Mhm.
be optimal so I can use that full time to progress from one show to the next. Because if you
Yep.
hold on to stage lean too long, that's fine, but you can't grow. So you have to decide what is your goal. If we want to be lean, that's fine. But just know the next time you step on stage, if you weren't willing to gain that fat back to health, to get your hormones in a place where you can build muscle again, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt so much worse than just
Yep.
accept it. Like if you fight the body fat gain, it's going to be really hard. But if you just accept it, at least for me, I didn't gain that much. But I'm like, whatever, like scales up, it's fine. Like
Right.
can't do anything about it.
Well, and you accept it. When we accept it, we have like, I like to use the word a lot, like compassion towards it. What most likely is not going to happen is what you were talking about in the beginning of I'm white knuckling my way to stay lean, stay lean, stay lean. Then I end up binging, right? I end up doing the thing that my body should have been doing in the first place through a reverse diet. I mean, binging isn't a reverse diet, but you know what I mean? Like increasing my calories. It's gonna, for a majority of people, it's gonna hit you in some sort of way. So instead of white knuckling your way through and trying to stay lean year round, as you're saying, like if I can accept it and have compassion towards it, it's going to be less likely that I run into these extremes, right?
Yeah.
Of lean, 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 binge, lean, lean,
Yeah.
lean, binge, right? And that, you know, absurd amount of calories coming in the binge, right? And then the absurd amount of calories we're not eating, that yo-yo is so bad for the body. So like you're saying, the hormonal effects and thinking about, I love to tell this to any client I'm working with, whether they're your stay-at-home mom, your, executive type A, or your ex-competitor, is like, the decision I'm making now, how does it affect me now? And how does it affect my future self?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's incredibly important, especially in this process, because I have seen people weigh NyQuil when they were sick on the scale to see how many calories it was and put it in MyFitnessPal. And that's just one of their very rigid behaviors during prep. Now I have spent years, I'm not even joking on that, trying to fix the damage they've done, both mentally and physically, And so thinking about, does this decision now support me now and me in the future, is another way to look at it, or another way to get curious during the process.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to suffer, I think, in prep, and you need to just prepare for
Mm-hmm.
that. It's gonna get hard. Like you are gonna get hungry, you are gonna be tested, you are gonna be tired, you're gonna be doing all these things. But you don't have to suffer in the reverse too. Like it should be, you should be excited to have more food. Like, why are
Right.
you scared of it? Or at least like for me, I'm like, oh, I don't want to have more food. It's like the grass was never green because I wasn't happy when I was stage lean. And I never thought I was lean enough. And then the second I gain any body fat, I'm like, I'm too much, which is just ridiculous. And then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you complain if you're dieting, then you complain if you're eating more. So where's the happy medium? Just accept it. Just like, hey, this is great. I'm going to diet. I always think it's fun. If I'm hungry, this is a signal I'm dropping body fat. This is a good thing. On the reverse, if I'm hungry, this is a good thing. My body's adjusting. I have to really, really hone it in. I think the reverse is harder than the actual prep itself, just because the
Mm-hmm.
show's over. There's not that deadline. You have to just do it out of straight willpower for yourself.
Right.
And that's really hard. I think without a show date, I think it'd be a lot. It's very hard for competitors to not keep it together. That's why
Mm-hmm.
post show gets weird because the feelings and emotions get mixed up of placing how I did, how I feel about myself, how the whole entire thing went, failure, winner, whatever. And they just kind of like group it together. But like if you
Mm-hmm.
can just like have a plan, just like think about your whole prep, like how do I want to feel no matter what happens? Like placing aside, what do I want my show day to look like? Do I want to have fun? Do I want to have memories with friends? Do I want to go out and have a good meal with everybody? Like, what do I want to feel during the whole 16-week journey, and what I want to feel after? Like, do we want to continue? Is this important? Do you want to, be healthy hormonally again? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what's going to work best for you? It's not one size fits all. And you do have to spend some time reverse dieting. You can't go back to normal. You have to keep your habits up. You can't just like expect to eat healthy for like 6 months and then just go back to unhealthy behaviors. Like, you still have to do some tracking. You still have to eat some clean foods, but like, what are the things that you really truly want to have? Is there a way that you can put this in your reverse diet ahead of time? Talk to your coach, have the plan, because it will get hard. Like it will, like the emotions will be heightened. after the show, you always think, oh, I'm going to do so well in my reverse until the reverse comes. And now we're getting to, oh, the show's not here. I can have all this food and you're all happy and everything. But I don't know, you're always in prep for the next event. And so I've
Right.
realized that the weight that I have put on immediately post show is the hardest to lose the next
Mhm.
time. So I've had to do so much cardio to try to get off weight that I wish I wouldn't have binged for prior preps. It
Mhm.
just stuck. It stuck hard. It stuck for longer. If I would have just had your one meal, have your night out, have your brunch, get back onto your plan and slowly wait until you can get your like reverse your calories up to a point where you can handle that food and then
Right.
incorporate it works a lot better than just trying to go, I'm going to have everything I've ever haven't had in the last 6 months all Saturday night. And then I'll be completely fine. I also found too, like whatever food I have post show, because it, it's like the addict that's kind of breaking the,
Mhm.
you've been clean and sober from this candies and cookies. If you have it, it's extra good right after a show.
Of
So
course.
whatever that food is, I had a sushi bowl after it. I had some cookies, but I didn't make it cookies first. I really tried to do a healthy meal. So now I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, it's really weird because now I'm like, whenever I'm extra, I'm like, oh, I want sushi because it was so good after post
That's
show.
it's a hack.
It was. And the
Yeah.
prior, it was like, oh, I had the post show. Like, I don't follow the foodie pages. That's a common
Mhm.
thing for competitors. Following foodie pages,
Oh
obsessing over
no.
this food, drilling over it, planning your post show cheat meal, buying all this stuff, like these crazy cookies and whatever. Like, I don't bring anything. I'll go out wherever we're going out and just share whatever we're getting. Like, that's about the extent of what a post show treat looks like for me at this point, because I don't have that
Mhm.
on a regular basis. Like, once a week,
Mhm.
maybe, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of good things we've talked about. Any final words you'd like to end us with, or anything that we haven't got to talk about yet?
Yeah, well, it goes with something you said is just really the story you're telling yourself, right? So understanding, like I talked about from the get-go, what is the motive? Like where's your starting point? Am I doing this to change who I am, my self-worth? Is my relationship with food and exercise already disordered? Maybe we need to work in instead of work out, right? But also that story I tell about myself and who I am really matters. I want everyone to hear that. What you believe about yourself dictates your behaviors, which dictates your outcomes, right? And those outcomes will dictate your feeling that will only make that behavior worse. So again, what do I say about myself because I didn't place? How that's huge because then, as you talked about, if I'm going through the reverse and I have that story, how does that impact my reverse and the behaviors around it? Right. And I'm not saying that you're going to always binge. I mean, you're going to, like you said, struggle again, even with my lifestyle clients, if you will, they struggle in a reverse diet because they're just so afraid because they're still putting eating a good amount of food, they're putting that belief that that makes me fat or unworthy, gross, whatever that is. So if you walk away with anything is what is the story? What is the story about where I place? What's the story I'm making up, the fantasy I'm making up about this process and all the things it's going to cure me of, if you will? Is that a story I'm telling myself, right? Or am I saying, hey, this is a challenge for me. And I'm going to create this structure and I'm going to show myself that I can do this. It's what my body can do, right? Yes, it's aesthetics focused. I'm going to look at the characteristics that I was able to just demonstrate throughout the process. That is me, right? The hard work, the ethic, pushing through hard times, right? Now, again, as a therapist, if it gets too disordered, obviously check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Being able to see the strength in your character throughout the process, kind of like that Halloween costume of like, holy shit, like I put every single one of those sequences together and made this beautiful thing. And now I get to say I did that. And I feel proud about that. That's a totally different story. This can have a totally different set of behaviors afterwards than the person who says, I did all the work and I'm still a failure. So
Yeah, I love that. So if anyone wants to follow you or work with you, where can they do so?
yeah, so I'm Mindset of Matter coaching on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you want to throw in another podcast in the mix. I'm a co-host of the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast, as well as, because I'm a therapist, I also have Dating Deja Vu, which is basically how our trauma affects us in relationships as well. So if anybody's listening and they're like, got that too, join me. We also talk a lot about reality TV on that show. So
that's awesome.
yeah.
I love reality TV. And okay, so if you could pick between cupcakes and protein shakes, what would you do?
Ooh, good question. Okay. Okay. I don't love protein shakes the way that they taste. So I'd have to say cupcake, but I also don't love cupcakes. So it'd have to be I just had this the other day, a carrot cake cupcake specifically.
Yes. Love that. Okay, like, well, then what flavor are we doing? Carrot cake is one of my tops. I don't know.
Yes.
Lately, I would say, yeah, no, carrot cake is probably up there. I'd either carrot cake, but it has to have a lot of layers and has to have good frosting. It can't be
Yes.
too carroty. It needs to be like nice
And I
and
need a
moist.
little bit of that walnut crunch too, like a little
Yeah,
bit throughout. Is it walnuts that's in it?
I think it is. Yeah,
Whatever nut is in it.
I
Yeah.
love that. All right, well,
Yeah.
you'll get your
Or a
episode out.
crumble cupcake. Anything
Yeah,
crumble,
yeah,
we'll throw that in there too.
or cookies, whatever. Okay, perfect. So
Yeah.
I'll get this episode coming out on Wednesday, the 23rd. Thanks for your time, and I'm excited to
Yeah.
help all of these athletes.
Yeah. Thank you.